Cool. And then this is the part where it's about half a minute of us going, are we live? I don't know if we're live. Are we live? But I think we're live. So this is very exciting.
Hello.
I'm going to get the stream up. Hello, everyone. I'm just going to get the stream up on my phone and we'll get the first comment going. Yep, we can hear you. It's all fine. And then we'll properly get going. So yeah, if whoever tunes in first can just leave us a comment saying if they can hear us and everything.
We'll give you a shout out.
Yeah, we will give you a shout out, and we'll just give a moment before we formally welcome everyone to the stream, because there's currently only 4 people watching, which we do hope will increase, as it usually does. Okay. Yeah, those numbers are going up. There is an interesting measure of what the delay is as well, because I think it is usually a minute, and unfortunately that does mean there'll be some awkward silences. Here we go, Josh.
That's all right. Well, in this awkward silence, hope everyone had a good weekend, enjoyed Mary's Day, didn't get too emotional.
Okay, here we go. People are watching now. This is the bit. Oh, sorry, Joshua. I'm just going to turn your video off for a sec, and then you can join. There we go. Awesome. Okay, Francesca Fantoni, you get the shout out. Yes, Ben, all good, and we're good to go. Awesome. So yeah, welcome everybody to the second meeting, second JCR meeting of Easter term, and the final one of this year. First one on Zoom went really well, so we're really happy to see how this one goes. We've got a lot of good candidates, and we've got a motion for you as well. It's all very exciting.
All right, yeah, so a bit of exciting ceremonial stuff to get through beforehand. So obviously Ben is going to be taking over as the JCR Chair for academic year 2020 to 2021, which are very exciting. Last meeting would typically have been the one where chairs do the handover, but because of the whole virtual situation and sort of really condensed work that had to be done, we shared that load. But I guess we'll do our ceremonious handover now. Obviously,
that's a make do. We don't have the gavel.
Yeah, so I haven't been able to go back to Durham yet and don't have the gavel and don't have a way of getting it to Ben. So we've come up with an ingenious virtual way of me ceremoniously presenting the gavel.
Oh, can I hand it over? Oh, what's this? Oh, look, it's the gavel. Amazing. So yeah, I'm now the chair. That's literally how it works.
Applause.
Okay, and we'll now move on swiftly with the meeting because we don't want to keep everyone for too long. So I've got the live stream up there on my phone. Awesome. Okay, so onto the agenda. The meetings of the last minute are available on the JCR website. Oh, and just a reminder to everyone, actually, before we get going, you can ask questions live on the Facebook comments or on the Google form, which should be in the text description of the live stream, and we'll be monitoring both of those throughout. And there will be the usual trivia rounds as with the last meeting, and I've got some exciting stuff planned for that as well. So we'll get moving now. Yeah, minutes of the last meeting available on the website, no matters arising, and just a brief announcement from me. So it's, yeah, brief announcement to say that on Wednesday, the 24th of June at 7 p.m. UK time, Nuria and other members of the JCR Executive Committee will be hosting an online open forum to discuss racism and discrimination within St Mary's JCR. The Zoom link for this can be found in Nuria's latest email that she sent out. Please do feel free to attend. And if you're not able to make it to the meeting, you can contact Nuria directly with anything you want to be raised at her email address, which is saint-marys.jcr@durham.ac.uk. And just to reiterate, that is on Wednesday at 7 p.m. UK time. Moving on then, there are no questions of officers. So we're moving to our first motion, which is the motion to rename the Toastie bar and shop by popular vote between 3 options that are put forward. Just remind everyone that that motion, the text of it can be found in the agenda that's been sent out. And we're now going to invite Lewis Robinson, who I believe is on the Zoom call, to unmute and turn his camera on to host for the motion. I'm seeing him unmute now. Hi, Lewis, can you hear us?
I can. I can't get my camera on though because that will cause Zoom to crash.
No worries. You're welcome to just host as you go. I'm assuming everyone can still hear you on the live stream, even if they can't see you. So just whenever you're ready, Johnny's ready to time.
Yeah.
Off you go. Yeah.
Fabulous. Right. So me again, with a similar motion as to last term. So this is hopefully she'll be the final say on it. So background again. So since we merged the shop and the Toastie bar last year into a single role and a single facility, it's needed a new name to reflect its self as an entity now and how it operates. It's become more prudent since the refurbishment, particularly in terms of branding and then just being able to order stuff to decorate the area. So we proposed a motion last term to rename the facility Bunker, which passed. The original name was chosen chosen after 150 responses from a survey in Michaelmas term. However, lots of people disliked the new name, felt it was not reflective of Mary's generally, and was just generally problematic. So I responded that we would come back, do another survey, get some more responses, and then do another renaming process. So we did that survey. We got 106 responses in total. And we come up with a couple of suggestions that were then filtered by myself and the Toastie Bar and Shop Committee based on appropriateness, general appeal, and popular demand from the survey itself. So the final 3 suggestions we got down to were just Mary's Toastie Bar, which was the name of the Toastie Bar before the merger, the Hungry Griffin, which was a new suggestion that came through, and St Mary's Toastie Bar and Shop, which is just how it currently stands in standing orders. So the new name is going to get decided by a popular vote, hopefully, between the 3 of those. And then whichever wins will be what's called next year. And then we can rebrand, get the new signage, menus, etc. And Emily can, Cliff that is, can sort all that out for next year.
Okay, amazing. Thank you very much for that. So as a reminder, you can get your questions in now through the Google form or the Facebook comments. And we will just leave it a little bit of time for those to come in because we know there's a delay on the stream. And now comes, I'm afraid, one of the slightly awkward silences where we wait to see if anything comes in. Lewis, if you just stick with us for a minute in case anything does.
Yeah, no worries.
Oh, Nuri is asking on the live stream, could you just repeat the names for us, the 3 potential names?
I can. Mary's Toastie Bar, which is what we've currently got on most of the social media that we use. So you can double check what that looks like and everything, because I don't think that would change. The Hungry Griffin, which is a brand new one that was suggested, which was quite popular in the poll that we put out. And then St Mary's Toastie Bar and Shop, which is just how the name of the facility currently is in the standing orders and any official documents.
Okay, just wait a few more seconds to see if anything else comes in. I'm just going to prepare for the first trivia round, but I think that will likely be it for questions. Just 1 second.
Lewis, just to then confirm, so your motion is to proceed to a vote based on these 3 options, essentially?
Yep.
Okay, wonderful. So I guess that will be voted at some point in the near future.
Okay. Have we had any more questions coming in? No. Okay, so I think we're probably good to move on. Thank you very much, Lewis, for joining us. So you feel free to go back on mute whenever you need to. So that brings us now to our first trivia round. And just an outline of how these are going to work. I've gone for tougher questions than the last one. And the idea is they're all Googleable. So you probably will not know the answers, but it's who can get the answers the quickest, who's the best at Googling and searching through Wikipedia pages to find them. And they're all going to be themed around outfits. So you may notice that I'm wearing a QPR shirt at the moment, Queen's Park Rangers. But the question I'm asking is, who won and what was the final score when QPR last faced Wigan Athletic? Who won and what was the final score when QPR last faced Wigan Athletic? And just a reminder, this is to win a £5 voucher of your choice. So that's in the Facebook comments if you can get that in. And I'll keep an eye on that. That's who won, what was the score when QPR last faced Wigan Athletic? And we'll now move on and I'll just quietly write down the answer to that. Or I should say I'll write down who got the answer to that. So now we will move on to the election for Year Abroad representative. The first candidates running jointly, Yasmin, Zhuang-Mackie and Teresa, Robbert-Arias. And I've got a video host that I'm going to share on here. So, Milo Stevens is one that there. Okay, so you'll have to let me know, everyone in the comments, if the screen sharing for this host works all right. Fingers crossed that it does. And we're ready to go now.
Hi, I'm Yasmin.
And I'm Teresa.
And we would love to be your Year Abroad reps next year. As 2 international students, we have a lot of first-hand experience with dealing with the challenges of being in new environments, so we're very passionate about helping all Mary's Year Abroaders in having the best experiences possible. This year, I was unfortunately only able to spend 2 months in Hong Kong before Durham pulled us out due to the escalating protests in November and later on the coronavirus situation at the end of January.
Part of my liberal arts degree is Chinese, so I was originally supposed to spend the year in China, but because of our current pandemic, had to come back to Europe after only 5 months. And although this is really disappointing, it's meant that we have a lot of experience dealing with the often unhelpful responses of the international office. Between the two of us, we've had to use the Erasmus, non-Erasmus, and NLEC application system, and thus feel that we're well equipped to provide support for all placements and unexpected scenarios that 2020 has so far provided.
Overall, our unusual experiences this year have really shown us how essential college and university support is, while also highlighting how it needs to be improved for all year abroad students beyond the current pandemic. This is why we want to, first of all, make sure both Erasmus and non-Erasmus students are receiving all the support and information that they need. We think this is really important because during the application process as non-Erasmus students, we felt that the support from both college and the university in general was kind of more set up for Erasmus and language students. So we really want to change this to make sure that nobody feels confused and lost while they're preparing for their placements. We want to do this by ensuring that meetings and sessions happen earlier on so that all year abroaders get the information they need when they need it. We also want to facilitate communication with college and the international office so that students can take advantage of all the support that is available to them.
Secondly, we want to set up an intercollegiate network of year abroad returners and international students, because this would provide a broader range of people to seek advice from, especially if there isn't anyone in college who's been on the placement that you're applying to. We then continue Phoebe's work this year with the creation and expansion of the database of year abroad experiences, the buddy system, and the WAM campaigns to help address some of the fears and anxieties people may have about being on a year abroad. This would be done by developing the collaboration with other groups and societies within Mary's. And then, being mindful of the coronavirus situation, we'd like to try and organize more events to support returners when they return to Mary's.
Overall, we really want to make something positive out of these unfortunate circumstances by using the knowledge and experiences we've gained this year to support all current and prospective year abroaders. Thank you so much for listening.
Okay. Thank you both for the host. And now we're going to move on to our next video host, which is Katerina Jackson. So just give me one moment to get that loaded up now.
Hi, everyone.
And share screen. Can you see that all right?
Yeah, I can see that.
Great, good to go.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kat, and I'd love to be your next year abroad rep. I've had an interesting mix of year abroad experiences, both studying at a uni in Paris as well as learning Arabic in Jordan, and I understand that the year abroad provides a unique set of experiences and challenges, and I have lots of new ideas to bring to the role that both celebrate and support people in all stages of the year abroad, before, during, as well as after. Some of the ideas that I would like to introduce include having regular Zoom catch-ups for those who are abroad to feel like they're still part of the Mary's community. With my Nightline training, I would also be more than happy to hold monthly online drop-ins for year abroaders to support them with signposting, advice, or a friendly chat if anyone is feeling a bit low. As well as this, I would plan to restart the Useful Links document that was started a couple of years ago, which is a helpful springboard when starting to plan a year abroad. I understand the placement application process and will be more than willing to provide one-to-one support for those wanting help with their application, as well as advice on things such as the travel insurance process or applying for the student finance travel grant. Further to these new ideas, I'd also like to introduce a cultural showcase during first term, where fourth years will have the opportunity to talk about what they've been up to on their travel adventures. I think that this event would not only be beneficial to first and second years considering a year abroad, but also to college in general, as it will help to promote greater cultural understanding of our world. During this host, I have focused on the new ideas that I would bring to the role, but I also intend to expand the aspects that already exist, such as the Google Drive placement file, so that it also includes details on housing, mobile phone contracts, and public transport. Another way that I'd like to develop the work of past year abroad reps is by liaising with other college year abroad teams and uni-wide societies so that the buddy scheme caters for as many destinations and placements as possible. As you can see on my blog sheet, I'm incredibly enthusiastic about college life and I wanted to stay involved even while I was away. I'm super excited at the idea of being elected the next year abroad rep. Thanks so much for your time, and if you have any questions, please drop me a message. Thank you.
Amazing. Okay, so thank you to both sets of candidates for their video hosts there. And I'm now going to just stop screen sharing and invite all the candidates for this role to join us live on the Zoom call for any questions that come in. And to remind everyone, you can send in those questions on the Google form or on the Facebook live stream. So have we got the candidates with us on the call now? Okay, hello, 1, 2,
Wonderful.
and have we got Yasmin as well? Yes, 3. Amazing. Okay, so any questions? Just having a look now. Chloe Fellows says hi in the Facebook comment.
Hi, Chloe Fellows.
I mean, you're welcome to respond to that as we're waiting for other questions.
Yeah, it's just worth saying to anyone watching live that we're operating about a minute, I think, behind. So if you've got questions that you're thinking up while you're watching, please send them in. Don't wait for the end, because it's likely that we'll see it just as the candidates are starting to wrap up. So
yeah, absolutely. But yeah, we will just wait a little bit for those to come in. Oh, Nuria says she's asking a question. I've just had a message, so we'll wait for that to come in. She could have just messaged the question, to be fair, but that's very professional of her to post it via the official channels. And so, remind me, I should know this. Do we start in reverse order for the questions in terms of who's answering them? Oh, Johnny, you're muted.
Sorry, I'm on mute still. We'll start with Teresa and Yasmin, who went first. So.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. The questions, so the questions come in. So for Teresa and Yasmin first, how will you deal with the inevitable challenge of years abroad being thrown off given COVID-19 this year?
Yeah, we definitely understand how complicated it is to be dealing with the whole COVID-19 process, and we know how difficult it is to have to talk to the international office. In our experience, they've been very kind of unhelpful and quite slow at replying. So we really want to help be kind of like or help to represent what the interests of the Year Abroad students are to the international office. So for example, we kind of know that maybe especially with language students, potentially if they're unable to go on their Year Abroad this year, maybe they would want to go in their 4th year instead. So if we can kind of raise these interests to the international office and the MLEC department on to help on behalf of these Year Abroad students. Yeah.
Thank you. And yeah, Kat?
So it's how I would support people with coronavirus uncertainties. Was that the question?
How would you deal with the challenge that COVID-19 faces? So take that however you wish.
Mm-hmm. I mean, at the moment, the vast majority of people that are about to embark on Year Abroad have been told to plan as if everything's going ahead as normal. But obviously, if that ever changes, I would, as and when I find out, I'd support and liaise, talk to students to do whatever I can, no matter what, to help them and make the best of the situation. And I think that the drop-ins that I'd like to introduce would really support students with that. Even if, let's say they decide to stay abroad and, there's other issues that come into that, I would like to be there throughout as a support network, and also signpost them to other networks and support that I've received from the university and college. So yeah.
Brilliant, thank you. Okay, and I don't think we've had any other questions. So I think we will leave it there. Thank you all very much for joining us. And feel free now to turn your cameras off and mute as you need to. And so we are now going to move on to disabilities representative. And so Ben Sharp is going to be hosting live on Zoom for us. So he's joining us already. Amazing. Ben, can you hear us all right?
Yeah, I can hear you. Thank you.
Amazing. So yeah, you've got the usual 3 minutes, and just feel free to get going whenever you need.
Hello, I'm Ben Sharp, and I would love to be your disabilities rep. I encountered my disability OCD whilst I was at university, and I had to take a year off to recover. This puts me in the position where I've had to go through all the disability procedures whilst at university, which I would argue puts me in a stronger position to help those who develop or have a disability when they're at university. If elected, I would do a variety of things to help those who suffer from a disability. Firstly, I would encourage more people to apply for disability support allowance. I would hold drop-ins to help people fill out DSA forms, which can be workplace. I was surprised that I qualified for the Disability Support Allowance, but it can really benefit you if you do qualify when it comes to your academic studies. I myself have benefited from the software provided by DSA. I would also hold drop-ins for those who think they are developing a disability, as well as liaising with the welfare team to ensure that proper support is given to those students who may encounter a problem during their time at Durham or are returning from a break in their studies. I know how hard it is myself to return to Durham and feel that you're part of the community whilst you've been away. I would promote the unique careers opportunities available for those with a disability, things like the Leonard Cheshire Change 100 scheme, which I've been a part of this year, and employability. They offer great opportunities for people with long-term health conditions, including mental health conditions, and offer internships and careers with the likes of Barclays, Goldman Sachs, and JP Morgan. I would set up a disabilities the one which has been formed under the LGBTQ plus and the ethnic minorities reps. I feel that this would create more of a community faced by identified as being disabled. Finally, I would attempt to hold a formal to celebrate all that is diverse about Mary's in coordination with the LGBTQ plus ethnic minorities, working class and mature students reps. This has already been in discussion in the works, and I hope this will go forward. Thank you for listening. I hope I can secure your vote.
Okay, thank you very much, Ben, for that host. Yeah, now we'll just wait to see if any questions come in, either on the Facebook comments or on email. Not on email, sorry, on the Google form. And yeah, as Johnny said, just for the last ones, if you've got any questions that you're thinking of kind of during the hosts, make sure you do get them in early, because at some point we'll have to then move on from each one and we don't want to miss any questions that come in a bit later.
And you'll get a cool shout out.
You'll get a really cool shout out, yeah. I think that the delay is a bit less than it was last time, just from what I can tell. So we don't need to worry quite as much about that, but we will just give it a little bit more time. Okay, I think we're probably good to go.
Yep.
Amazing, Ben. Thanks so much for joining us, and yeah, you're free to go. Awesome. I'm just going to quickly do the next costume change for the next bit of trivia.
Wonderful. So, all right. I guess I'm filling in briefly for Ben. This should be an exciting one. So, get your keyboards at the ready.
Just want to reiterate, I'm adding every bit of clothing on top of the last ones, and it's 25 degrees right now. I'm very warm. So the next question, again, this is Googleable. You probably won't know the answer off the top of your heads, but get Googling as soon as you can. So this shirt might remind some people of the book series Where's Wally, or Where's Waldo for the Americans. But which publishing company is responsible for the books in the UK? Which publishing company is responsible for the Where's Wally books in the UK? And get your answers in the Facebook comments. So we will now move on, and I'll keep an eye on those. So just note that Milo Stevens won the first one. And now we move on to the contested election of assistant Toastie bar and shop manager. So the first host is Joshua Pattison, and I've got a video host here. And I think Harriet Hill just won that trivia question.
Harriet Hill.
Okay, Joshua Pattison.
Hello.
Get this loaded up. Okay.
Hello, my name is Joshua. I am a first-year business and management student, and I would love to be your new assistant Toastie bar and shop manager. It is aspects of Mary's, such as the bar, its scenery, the sports, and the Toastie bar, of course, which all make it an amazing identity and culture. So throughout my role, I would love to make the Toastie bar the best it can be for students and staff. So why am I the best candidate? Well, first of all, I have a strong awareness and knowledge of managing businesses. Throughout my 5 years studying business, I have learned to an advanced degree level the different functional areas such as HR, finance, or publicity. These have given me many ideas about how to keep the Toastie Bar both profitable whilst meeting the needs and desires of our customers. Secondly, I have worked many part-time jobs in retail, and therefore I have great team working and supportive skills, which would be a benefit to the Toastie Bar manager, the staff, the committee and our stakeholders. Finally, I have already been shown the ropes by Lewis for managing the vending machine and doing stock refills via being on the Toastie Bar committee, which are all required for the role. So, my main priority for the role is safety. This new world we live in means that the Toastie Bar and Shop's new priority must be handling stock, as we must adapt to protect our customers and staff. Therefore, I will assist the manager in applying these safety measures to meet the kitchen standards. Some ideas that I do have include investing in PPE equipment and sanitisers for our staff, updating our staff training, and implementing a cashless system to limit cash handling. As for other ideas, I would like to rework the meal deal promotions, which, personally to me, have always felt a bit disjointed during my work this year. Many customers and staff just aren't aware of the deal and may be losing out on financial value during their late night studies. Finally, I will look towards integrating the Toastie Bar committee and staff more into decision making, so that the staff can easily voice concerns or ideas about new toasties, decorations for the darts area or social events, all of which I would be very happy to expand upon and make them happen this year. So overall, with my business management knowledge, vast experiences in different retail jobs, and, well, I love toasties of course, I believe that I would be able to effectively support the manager in running the Toastie Bar and Shop during these difficult times, whilst improving in many areas and maintaining its strong Mary's identity. Thanks for listening and stay safe.
Okay, thank you, Joshua, for sending that in. And we will now move on to the next host, which is Emily Wall, which is also a video host. I've just read that up now. Okay, and share screen. Oh, okay, that's not working. Right, that's the first technical hitch we've encountered. Give me a moment. Here we go. Okay.
Hi, I'm Emily. I'm a second year history student and I'm running to be re-elected as the assistant Toastie Bar and Shop manager. I was the first person to take on this role when it was created last year, and it only makes sense for me to continue this role for the next academic year. I will continue to improve the Toastie Bar according to the structures that have been laid out by Lewis in the past 4 years. I've watched the Toastie Bar grow from a little hole in the wall to a fancy new area that we have today, and I will continue to improve this area. My ideas include creating a staff wall with little quotes, a jokey good staff member of the week and a bad staff member of the week, and to have a collab with Mary's Art Sock in order to decorate the space. This will include the creation of a bigger menu outside the Toastie Bar, which will include photographs of items that we have available. The main purpose of this role is to support the manager in a practical way. This is done through stocking the vending machine, which I am already trained in doing stock runs and monitoring the cleaning standards and ensuring that there are consequences for those who let those standards slip. And I'll also continue to help reform the Toastie Bar. For the last year, I've been helping to push for a new vending machine in Ferguson, which will have a card reader, a card machine for the Toastie Bar, and a card for the manager, the assistant manager, and the stock runners in order to buy the stock, which would therefore change the reimbursement system that we are currently using. I will continue to push for these changes alongside the manager, as well as pushing for a new workbench. I will also promote the Toastie Bar alongside the publicity officer on university-wide social platforms to ensure that other colleges know the new location of the Toastie Bar, and I'll also push for more signage around the bar area. I'll also will reform how hours are kept, since currently they are kept on an online spreadsheet, which is quite easy to forget to complete after a shift. In the context of COVID-19, when we reopen, I will help to organise a proper queuing system. I'll maximise the cleanliness of the Toastie Bar, and I'll be really strict about staff about this standards, and I'll also organise the chairs in the basement to make the space more open. I'll continue to focus on the training of new staff and work hard to make sure that everyone is up to standard, and I'll pair newer staff with older staff so there's someone to support them on their first few shifts, and I'll always be around if anyone has any questions. Lastly, I've worked for the Toastie Bar for the entirety of my university experience, and I don't know what I'll do if I can't be the Toastie Princess to the Toastie Queen, Emily Cliff. Toastie Bar is the love of my life, and if any of you know me, you will know how passionate I am about it. I'm always around Mary's. I'll be living on Church Street. History has barely any contact hours, so I'm always going to be around. And also, if you vote for me, the entire basement will be staffed and led by girls, which, you know, like girl power and all of that. So yeah, thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you, Emily, for sending that in. And we now have the final video host for this role, which is Adam Sreeves, which I will again load up just now.
Hi, my name's...
Okay.
Hi, my name's Adam, and I love toasties. Nothing like a good toastie, am I right? Yes, but there's one thing even better than eating toasties, and that's making toasties. And I've been fortunate enough to have a job doing exactly that at the Toastie Bar this past year, and I'd love the opportunity to get even more involved, which is why I want to be your assistant Toastie Bar manager. Side note, sorry about filming this in a field, by the way. My camera didn't work all day, and it's night time now, and I don't want to wake people up, so here we are. I think there's some alpaca sleeping over there, so that's pretty cool, I guess. So I'm going for this role, firstly because, as I think I mentioned, I love toasties, and by extension, the Toastie Bar as a whole, of course. And secondly, because I've got loads of great ideas on how to make it even better. So my first idea is having a special night once or twice a week where we serve a special sort of limited edition toastie with ingredients that we can't normally use, like fresh fruit, vegetables. So we could have, say, a strawberries and cream toastie, which is delicious, by the way. The idea being to stir up some excitement at Toastie Bar, get people down to try out like this week's fresh, new, exotic toastie, and it could act as a sort of trial period for new menu items, that sort of thing. Second idea, I'd work with the environment reps to try and cut back on the wastage at the Toastie Bar. For example, one of the main offenders at the minute is the paper plates that we serve toasties on. They just get binned after they're used, which is not very environmentally friendly. So I try and push for a system where they can be handed back in at the Toastie Bar, washed, rinsed, and then recycled separately. We could have a system, say, where you have to pay, say, like 10p extra for the plate, but it's returned if you give the plate back, that sort of thing. Third idea is pretty simple, just having a card reader at the Toastie Bar. We have to turn people away all the time because they don't have cash, and it's just easy to pay by card in it. But of course, the role isn't all about fun ideas. I'd obviously put my all into all of its responsibilities, things like ensuring a high level of sort of cleaning and hygiene in the Toastie Bar at all times, and just sort of helping out the manager on a daily basis with the Toastie Bar, that sort of thing. I've already got some experience. I've been on the committee this past year. I've helped with getting in stock from Tesco's, getting the deliveries from the kitchen, that sort of thing. So yeah, I've already got some experience with some of the responsibilities of the role. Basically, I'm just really enthusiastic about the Toastie Bar, and I'd love to work with the manager and the committee to help it be the best it can possibly be. Thank you. It's getting pretty dark now, so I'm going to go.
Okay, and thank you to Adam for that. So now we've got Joshua and Emily joining us live on the stream to answer questions. Unfortunately, Adam wasn't able to join us for this today.
Yeah, we'll start with there was a question on the live stream on Facebook. So I guess we'll start with Josh first, then pass on to Emily. This is from Nuria. What is your favourite thing about the Toastie Bar and Shop? So putting the timer on now. We'll start with you, Josh.
Ooh, it's hard to pick because there's a lot of amazing things about the Toastie Bar itself. I would just kind of say the more social side of it. So whether you're a customer yourself or one of the staff members, you can just always chat to people, no matter if you know them, you don't know them. It's such a friendly environment, which has made, well, for me, working on the Toastie bar, it's made me a lot more comfortable serving people and making new friends on shift. So it's just a very open environment where people can just be friendly with one another. And I think that's my favourite thing out of all the other amazing things I could list off.
Okay, amazing. Passing on to you now, Emily.
Personally, for me, the Toastie bar has been like one of the most important things in my university experience. Like, I have quite bad anxiety, and like coming to this university was absolutely terrifying for me. And it's given me this new sense of confidence. Like, for running as this role for the past year has given me like, it's made me feel important to the Mary's community. And like, to me personally, the Toastie bar is like the main part of Mary's for me that means the most to me. And it's given me so many friends, and it's just made me so much more confident and happy as a person.
Brilliant, thank you both. So we've got a couple more questions to get through, actually, if we can. So one more from the Facebook stream from Lewis Robinson, saying there's already been some mention of COVID-19 response from both of you, but what do you plan to do if we're told that the Toastie bar can't reopen, at least for the first term of next year?
Yeah, we'll start with Emily for that one.
Yeah.
So if it can't reopen, we'll continue to sell stuff through the vending machine, making sure that that's all clean and everything. And I think like we could even try and set up like a sort of system where if we can't reopen as a place, we could do like deliveries door to door or something like that. Like, or even so, like we could still like manage the shop, because we still have the shop side of the Toastie bar that can still run. But obviously that's got something that we'll sort out when it comes to it.
Okay, and Joshua?
Yeah, I would have honestly said the same as Emily said there. The vending machines will always be open for people to use, and we'll keep them stocked up. Maybe we'll change odd things just to keep them, you know, exciting for people week by week. We could potentially use the downtime as a kind of idea gathering for the Toastie bar, whether that's how it would run normally if we're looking at what students are wanting from the Toastie bar if it was ever to reopen, or even just competitions about different toasty ideas or things that they'd like to see being sold in the shop. But I think there would be a way around operating even if the kind of kitchen and the site was closed down.
Brilliant, thank you both. Johnny, have we got time for one more question?
Yeah, we've got time for one more question.
Okay, so this is a question online from Charlotte asking, are your proposals practical and how will you implement them? So starting now with Joshua, yeah?
I believe that mine is practical because, as well as, you know, there's loads of different ideas that we could do for the Toastie bar. It's still a very young business, but at this moment in time, I do feel like safety is the main concern. So when I've kind of gathered some ideas, seen what we could do, seen what other restaurants have done, it's finding ways, and the ideas that I found, to keep the Toastie bar profitable, so we can still serve customers, we can still pay the staff the wages that they deserve to pay, especially for, you know, almost being on the front lines, really. So I won't try and throw everything at the wall and hope it sticks. I'll be happy to speak with like the manager, kitchen staff, or other JCR execs about what ideas we prioritize first to make those safety procedures a reality whilst keeping the profits coming in.
Great, thank you. And Emily?
In terms of like safety, like I know that personally I have like had to tell people off this year about cleaning standards, and I'll always be very strict about those standards. So my ideas for keeping us safe during COVID, if we have properly trained staff, they're all like completely like viable. Also in terms of like improving the Toastie bar, which is something that I've been doing over the past year, like I've been looking for like a new vending machine, like a card for the manager and the assistant manager, because the problem at the moment is the stock runners, they buy money off their own card and get reimbursed through the JCR, but that completely buys out anyone who wants to run it in the Toastie bar, because then you have to take it from your own money and get that back, which to me has been one of the biggest problems in this role for the past year. So I want to continue to make the JCR role of being assistant Toastie bar manager and manager more accessible to people, and also like just in general getting a card reader I think is something that I've been trying to do, but I'm not sure how viable that is, but I continue to push for stuff. Like I'm just aware of like
the setbacks of the role and what we can do and what we can't do in the role, because there's always limits on it.
Brilliant. Thank you both very much. And that's all the questions that have come in. There's been plenty of time to send them in, so I think we will call it there. Yeah, thanks again both for joining us, and you can now feel free to go back on mute and turn your cameras back off. And now before we move on to the next host, it's time for another trivia round. So I'll hand over to Johnny for just a second while I do the costume change.
All right. In the brief interim, a couple of shout outs to give. Firstly, George Forbury, hello to you too. Secondly, Amy Harris says she likes my shirt. So thank you very much, Amy.
Okay, I'm now wearing, this is getting really warm, I'm wearing my Leavers hoodie from my sixth form. Now, this is going to be a tougher one, I think, this question. It's my favourite one. This is a Leavers hoodie from my sixth form, Hills Road Sixth Form College. When the college was called the Cambridgeshire High School for Boys back in the day, the founding members of a very popular rock band went there. Which band was this? So which founding members of which band went to Hills Road Sixth Form back in the day? And a little hint if you need, Wikipedia might be your friend here. So we'll leave people to get to that. And we will now move on to the next host, which is for chapel representative. And we've got Jess Simpson running for this, who unfortunately wasn't able to join us on the stream and has chosen to send in a text host for me to read out now, which I will now do. Just loading it up. Oh, okay. Milo Stevens has got an answer there, and I'm aware I didn't set this out in advance, so it might be a bit controversial. I'm going to say one prize per person. I did say it in the last meeting, so I feel justified in enforcing that, which I realise is now just a matter of who can type the answer the quickest, even though it's already there. Anyway, sorry. So, chapel representative, Jess Simpson. I'll read that now. Hi, I'm Jess, a first year studying music, and I would love to be your chapel rep. In my first year at Mary's, I have really enjoyed using the chapel, once I'd eventually found it, for choir rehearsals, evensong services, and the occasional Christian Union gathering. It's such a beautiful and peaceful place, and truly an underrated and largely undiscovered part of Mary's. This last part I believe to be justifiable given the labyrinth of staircases and doors you need to go through just to find this gem. I would love to be able to create more opportunities for students and staff to enjoy this space, whether it be for chapel services, a quiet place for prayer and reflection, or simply a space to escape the busyness of university life. I believe that I'm suited to this role as, in addition to using the chapel as a space for rehearsal with the chapel choir, worship and evensong services, and gathering with the Christian Union, I've also sung with the choir in another church in one of our chaplain's 5 parishes and have helped out by doing readings and evensong services. As a result, I have a good relationship with our college chaplain and a good understanding of how services are held here. I would love to build on this relationship and enable others to enjoy the same experience. My ideas for this role include making the chapel a more comfortable and inviting place, particularly making it warmer and improving the lighting situation, a challenging undertaking for a room built in a windowless roof space, facilitating its use by adding directional signs around college that make it easier to find. I wish I could attribute the dwindling evensong congregation to people getting lost on the way. Alas, I fear this may not be the principal reason. Better publicising events in the chapel to increase awareness and attendance. Holding more events in the chapel, possibly in conjunction with WAM. This could include meditation and de-stress sessions, and listening to the student and staff body to see what you would like to happen with the chapel. Whilst both Durham University and Mary's have strong Christian roots and traditions, we must recognise that we live in a diverse, multicultural community. For this reason, I would like to highlight that although the chapel was built and continues to be used as a Christian place of worship, it is by no means exclusive to Christians. I believe that as long as it's treated respectfully, it should be open to any and all members of our community. Overall, I truly think that your experience at Mary's is not complete without at least a visit to the chapel, and I would love to be able to facilitate this. So please consider voting for me to be your chapel rep, and thank you for listening. So that was Jess Simpson's host there. And unfortunately, she wasn't able to join us on the stream to answer questions, but she's asked us to highlight that you can drop her a message or an email if you have got any queries as the election goes on. And that then brings us to the end of that host. So just looking at the stream, I mean, Annalise Murray won it. I think it was a slightly jammy one, considering she did just poach a disqualified answer, but that is my fault for not outlining it in advance. And sorry again, Milo, for that one, as it was particularly harsh. So now we move on to our penultimate role, Sports and Societies Officer. We've got Hannah McQueen and Sara Crozier running jointly, and we've also got Toby Smith running. So the first host is Hannah and Sara. Now they're going to be screen sharing it. Usually I'm screen sharing. Hannah's going to be screen sharing for this one. Would you like to join us on the stream just so we can get that sorted, Hannah? Yes, okay. Right, go ahead. I mean, yeah, just load it up and share screen, and I'll quickly let you know if it's working.
That all right?
I can see, yes, yep, I can see it. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Hannah.
And I'm Sara.
And we'd love to be your Sports and Societies officers next year. Now, as my long-suffering teammates would tell you, I'm possibly a little bit sports obsessed, so I know that the value of the sports teams at Mary's is unmatchable, with levels of accessibility and participation that other universities could really only dream of. Whether you're a beginner or a professional at any kind of sport, there's something here at Mary's for everyone. Having such accessible sports clubs means that nobody is excluded, and it offers you a great opportunity to meet people from other corridors or years who you otherwise might not get a chance to know.
I have thrown myself into sports and societies at Mary's over the past 2 years, even venturing up to DU level. Our appreciation, love and passion for all things Mary's spurred us on to apply for this role together. Working as a pair, we can truly fulfil this role to the best of our abilities, splitting responsibilities to suit our strengths and coming up with twice the amount of ideas.
We want to celebrate our sports teams by setting up a Team Mary's Instagram account, sharing achievements and new opportunities with the wider Mary's community. I've already set up a successful Instagram account for the St Mary's Frisbee team, so we'll be comfortable in this area of the role. To ensure that Mary's societies get their fair share of the limelight, we will maintain the Experience Mary's page and nominate a Society of the Month every month. To ensure that clubs stay connected with college and that we are easily contactable, we will set up Facebook groups with club captains and society presidents and send out a monthly email with a roundup of results and opportunities. We also aim to set up a specific officer email address to ensure smooth running of the role and to keep an eye on participation levels so that we can take action on any defunct clubs.
We want to organise the sports cupboard and run comprehensive checks on equipment to highlight what needs to be bought and what could be sold, liaising with captains and the finance committee to effectively manage and allocate funds. My prior knowledge of the role and position as DU Women's Football Treasurer will be invaluable for this. I recognise the importance of collaborating with other committees and aim to work with Mary's publicity and journalism, taking a more active role in publicising events.
We want to collaborate with Duck to emphasise and add to existing events, creating more competitive fundraising opportunities and encouraging further involvement. We also want to work with WAM to promote the mental and physical health benefits of participating in clubs and to set up a programme helping sports and societies learn how to be active bystanders. I've been trained by the SU as a peer facilitator in active bystander courses, teaching students how to recognise difficult or dangerous situations and how to intervene safely in them, aiming to reduce instances of sexual violence in Durham City and to make it a safer place for everyone. We would love for the Mary's community to get involved with this scheme.
Freshers Week can be overwhelming, meaning opportunities to join some clubs might be missed. A Refreshers Fair in January would give another chance to join clubs initially missed, and working with the FREP team to promote and incorporate DU trials into Freshers Week would increase participation both at college and uni level. Participation in DU level sport and established relationships with the Team Durham staff will aid us in this aspect of the role. Whilst negotiations for sponsorship and player layer stash were halted due to complications, I already have relevant contacts so I could push for this immediately. This means less pressure on exec teams to organise stash independently and also cheaper stash. We truly believe that two heads are better than one, and with our relevant experience and as a pair, we'll really be able to give this role our all, ensuring effective running of the countless sports and societies that our incredible college has to offer. Thank you.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks both for that. And so you can go off screen sharing. Brilliant. So Hannah, if you'd like to just pop back on, camera off for a moment, and we'll invite now Toby Smith to join us live on the call for his host. So Toby, if you can hear us, amazing. Cool.
Hello.
Great, we can hear you. So whenever you're ready.
Yeah, hi everyone. For those who don't know, my name's Toby and I'd love to be your Sports and Societies Officer for next year. I've been really heavily involved in both sports and SOCs in my last couple of years here. And I'm on the execs of numerous ones as well this year. So I've really learnt and appreciated how good these things are for making mates, keeping busy and, and taking a break from work actually. I'm a highly organised, approachable and friendly person, and I really believe I could do this role really well. So a few ideas I've got. I think it's what was one of the most.
Sorry, Toby, your mic's just gone a bit funny there.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, cool. So a few ideas I've got. What's not done so well at the moment, I'd really like to improve communications between captains, whether this is making a Facebook group or WhatsApp group or something. Mainly to make sure they know how to apply for extra financial assistance throughout the year, because I feel like a lot of people don't know how to do this, and it's actually really easy, and the majority of the time it gets approved. As well as this, organising more charity events. So we did a dodgeball one last year, which worked really well. As well as this, I'd be really keen to organise another varsity before Christmas next year, because of this year's was obviously cancelled. So we could do one if COVID is allowing us, one before Christmas and then one hopefully next summer. I know the system very well. I've been captain of hockey this year, and as I said, on the executive numerous one. I know Polly very well. Who runs all college DU sports, so I get on very well with her. Hopefully get her some preferential treatment, which would be nice. As well as this, I'd be keen to help facilitate the creation of some new clubs and societies, such as a road cycling club. I know there's a fair bit of keenness for that, having asked around a lot of my friends who I know cycle in college. And also improve the regular taster sessions that a lot of clubs and societies do. So as hockey captain this year, we ran regular taster sessions and got lots of people who'd never played before, ended up playing for the team for the whole year. I really enjoyed that. And if we can spread that, I know a lot of clubs do it, but if we can improve that and maybe make one a term, I think that would work really well. Penultimately, I think we need to be realistic actually about maybe not getting as many freshers as we normally do next year, and how this will impact clubs and societies. It's good to plan for it, especially because we don't know what's going to happen due to the virus. So, if we don't get as many as we can, and some clubs and societies can't get the numbers they require, then actually we might need to, it's good to plan about this, and maybe, look at combining some teams with other colleges. I know some of the girls' hockey teams do this already, where they struggle for numbers. Or even, reducing the amount of teams we have. I mean, fingers crossed we won't have to do this, but it's good to have a contingency plan should this actually happen. And lastly, I've been working really hard, and what I'd like to really continue is, as part of finance committee, I've been working to create larger budgets for clubs and societies. So the way the system works at the moment is every club has a blanket 50 quid budget. And this is really doesn't work. The system is really bad, actually. So what we're trying to do at the moment is make a tier system. So those clubs who have an annual expenditure of £3,000, £4,000, £5,000 are currently on the same budget as, I don't know, so I'm part of a squash club and we have no expenditure. So, at the moment there's this big pot of money and it's being divvied out in a really silly way, actually. And there's just a much smarter way to do it. And I'd love to continue the work and help implement that for next year. So them kind of my main points, and yeah, I'd love you to vote for me for Sports and Socks Officer. Thanks.
Brilliant, thank you, Toby. So now I'm going to invite Hannah and Sarah back on the call, so that the three of you are all on here, and we've got 3 questions already, actually. So we'll just get through as many of them as we can. So we'll start with one from the Google form from Louisa, which is, with all the uncertainty surrounding next term, how will you guide sports and societies through this to aid current and new students' experiences from September? And we'll start then with Toby on that. Oh, Toby, you're muted, sorry.
That better?
Yep.
Cool. So as I said, we really have to play this by ear, but I think we need to actually plan for the worst case scenario. So we've got a backup. So, whether that involves talking to other colleges nearby, Grey or Trevs maybe, and saying, look, if we don't have X number of the required number of people for this club, maybe we could combine and make a club, whether that's sports or an arts club or whatever, just so you've got the right numbers. As well as this, it'd be really good to communicate with Joe next year, and because he'll probably be first port of call for hearing if any advice changes from the government or through the university. So just keep an open communications channel, and we have to play it by ear, really, I guess. But yeah, plan, and we'll see how it goes.
Okay, and the same question to Hannah and Sarah, however you want to divvy that up.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah. So with all the uncertainty surrounding next term, how will you guide sports and societies through this to aid current and new students' experiences from September?
In terms of sports and societies, obviously, COVID really put a spanner in the work for a freshers' fair. But as we've seen from the PGN formal and Mary's Day and these meetings, there are so many things open to us to do it virtually. Teams can do videos, and we can really with like Facebook groups that Hannah and I have proposed, we can really get information quickly and organise that. So freshers and current students have a way of contacting and getting a hold of captains and getting involved. I don't know if Hannah has anything else.
I just add, I've done some work already with my local tennis team on following coronavirus guidance, how we can keep playing our leagues whilst staying safe. So I feel like I'd be in a good position to know how to stick to the government guidelines, but make sure students can get maximum enjoyment out of the sports and societies that we can offer.
Brilliant, thank you to all the candidates there. So we've got another question from the Google form. It's often considered that funding for sports and societies is allocated ignoring size and expenditure. Do you consider this an issue, and what would you do to change it? And sorry, we'll start with Hannah and Sara for that one.
Yes, so as Toby did mention, the tier system that was brought in this year after a meeting about sort of clubs that were older and were still getting the funding but didn't really have any participation, weren't really having any meetings. So that obviously there is a loss of funds that isn't really getting used. So as Hannah and I mentioned, we'd work with captains and we'd go obviously for sports, go through the sports cupboard, see what equipment we could like teams need. I know that hockey club is in need of like goalkeeper kit. That's something where funds can be funneled towards, but also things to be sold. We'll just liaise with captains and see what needs to be done. And then we'll also liaise with the finance committee, because obviously they are working on this tier system, which will be crucial next year, be invaluable really for helping to organise the funds. So it'll just be a case of working with the relevant people, sort of keeping an eye on how clubs are doing, the involvement levels, and then brainstorming what needs to be done to boost participation or to relevant action that needs to be taken.
Brilliant. Okay, and Toby, on the same question, do you need it repeating or are you okay to go?
Yeah, repeat it if that was correct.
Yeah. So it's often considered that funding for sports and societies is often allocated ignoring size and expenditure. Do you consider this an issue, and what would you do to change it?
Yeah, it's a really big problem actually, and it's kind of amazing someone hasn't created a system before to sort it out. So as I said, the system at the moment makes, you've got kind of a base 50 quid for each club. So like, I'll give an example with hockey, right? So that 50 quid won't cover a weekend of sport. And this then makes, what's the word? Subs at the end of the year really high, and it puts a lot of people off. And a lot of people that don't have that financial situation where they can just pay that straight away. So yeah, it's a really silly system the way it is at the moment. And the finance committee, we're working hard to change it, and hopefully that should be implemented in the new year, fingers crossed. And how it will work and how I can hope to implement it is we can have this tiered system. So clubs on their past annual expenditure, that will be ranked into several tiers, and then you might have 5 tiers, and those clubs in tier 5 who have an average expenditure of maybe past £4,000 will be eligible for the biggest budget, whereas those who have had no expenditure the last 5 or so years will have the lowest one. But then again, it's easy to apply for them should they need ones, should they need extra financial support. But yeah, at the moment, there's just this big pot of money sitting in the JCR pocket, and it's being divvied out, not in the smartest way. But hopefully that can change next year.
Okay, thank you, Toby. So we've got a couple more questions to get through and not much time. So if we can ask for maybe slightly rapid fire answers on these ones, although of course, feel free to make the points you need to make. So a question from the live stream now. As 3 very sporty humans, how will you ensure that societies still get the spotlight they deserve, seeing as not everyone gets involved in sports at Mary's? And so I've lost track of where we start. We're starting with Toby for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really important to me. As I said earlier, we can make a big Facebook group or a big WhatsApp group, which there hasn't been this year. I'm sure there has been in previous years, in which everyone can voice their concerns. And also I can make it really simple and outline really simple steps in order to apply to Finance Committee or a Development Fund or anyone. As well as creating social media where we can create, making a social media account for societies and sports where we can highlight we can give everyone, captains and presidents there, the access details too, and they can post what's going on and keep everyone up to date.
Okay, and the same to Hannah and Sarah. How do you ensure that societies get the spotlight that they deserve?
So yeah, we're mostly sport focused, but to counteract that, we've got loads of proposals of how we want to work with societies to make sure they're not sort of ignored. We want to work with Journalism Society to create our monthly roundup and feature a society of the month. We want to work with Duck to create more sporty and society focused charity events, and we want to work on campaigns with WAM. Those are just a couple of ways we want to highlight the work of societies so that they're not overlooked.
Okay, thank you. Johnny, have we got time for another question, or are we?
Yeah, we can do one more quick question.
Okay, so I'm just loading that up now. Another question from the stream. With COVID-19 potentially impacting the wider student experience over Michaelmas term and the foreseeable future, for instance, a freshers' fair not being able to go to head due to social distancing rules, sports teams needing to change the way they play because of government guidelines, things like that. How do you encourage new freshers to engage in sports and societies at Mary's? And so that's starting with Hannah and Sarah.
So as I mentioned earlier, these meetings and PGN forums and things have shown that we are capable of hosting events online, and I feel like that could be really beneficial for a freshers' fair. You could really get the captains involved and the presidents involved, and sort of pushing their Facebook groups and pages will really help. Like on the freshers page on Facebook, as well as like our idea for a monthly roundup, we can easily make a sort of email list as New does, and we can highlight certain clubs and societies for people to get involved with. In terms of sort of sports having to change their rules, it's kind of just a sort of, for now, I guess, across that bridge when we'll come to it kind of thing, but we will obviously be liaising with Team Durham, who will have all of the relevant information, and we'll be able to relay that back via email or Facebook. And yeah, and we'll obviously, with our idea potentially of making a specific email for this role, will be really contactable and accessible for any questions that people might have, which is really key in this, trying time. So yeah.
Okay, and we're running a little bit low on time here, but Toby, just finally over to you on that question. You're muted still.
Yeah, I kind of already answered that by just saying plan for the worst, hope for the best, really. The only thing I'd add to it is move as much outside as we can. Get some gazebos, go outside. It'd be much better than staying inside if we have to, and if that limits our capability by staying inside. Yeah, move it outside, have a picnic.
Okay, great. Thank you, Toby. So yeah, thanks to all the candidates for their husks and for answering questions. And you're now free to go on mute and turn your cameras off. And
amazing.
Okay, yeah, I believe Johnny's just got something to say, and I'm going to gear up for the next trivia round.
So in the sort of little interim as well, just to clarify on a couple of things that were brought up by the people there about how budgets work for financing and everything. So yeah, currently there is a £50 budget that every society has. They have access to additional funds requests, development funds requests, etc. But the idea of restructuring, having a tier sort of system is quite a delicate, and it's definitely been an ongoing discussion that we've been having in Finance Committee throughout this year. It's something that was raised right back at the start of, summer last term. Summer last year, and it's something that certainly a lot of credit for James Lynn, the treasurer this year, and Nuria, who is president this year, for setting a lot of the groundwork in that. So hopefully it's something that, as I say, is ongoing, and in general, is something that we can better in the not too distant future. Passing back to you, Ben.
So yeah, absolutely. So I'm now wearing a beautiful garment modelled on the robes of the Jedi, as worn in the Star Wars series of films. If you hadn't realised, this is the foundation of the next trivia question, so be ready to Google. So yeah, it's modelled on the Jedi robes. Now, the last Star Wars film was Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. I want to know, in what year was the film's director, J.J. Abrams, appointed to this particular project? What year was J.J. Abrams appointed as the director of The Rise of Skywalker? Yeah, I'm gonna, yeah, as I've said, one prize per person, and yeah, so we'll see who gets to that first. And so now we move on to our final hust of the day, and then stick around afterwards just for a couple of brief announcements about voting, and of course the final trivia round. So, IT representative Alice Watson has sent in a video hust, which I will now play back. Okay.
Hi everyone, I hope you're staying safe and well. I'm Alice, a second year computer science student, and I'd love to continue being your IT representative for this year. I've really enjoyed this role this year and would love to continue giving back to the Marines community. I think I'm a super organised person and I have very strong time management skills. Obviously, being a computer science student, I also think I have good technical skills, which are a necessity for this role. Over the past year that I've held the position, I've made sure to listen to current opinions on the websites and suggestions from the whole JCR and the exec through the survey which I sent out in first term. I've also created relationships between IT reps from other colleges to learn about their systems and to gain inspiration for our website. Although I plan to create a new website, I've updated parts of the current website to keep it up to date. Particularly, I've changed some of the pictures so they are now more reflective of the current students of Mary's. I plan to create a new website which can be built upon by future members of the college. This will allow more features to be utilised for the website. The main feature I would like to focus on is achieving a booking system for college events. This system should save time for the JCR president and social chairs in comparison with the current Eventbrite booking system. I would also like to work with the FREP team to ensure that the incoming freshers have the most up-to-date information about technology in college before they arrive, and are also supported when they arrive. Due to Corona, it is likely that a lot of social activities will be moved online, as seen with PGN and Mary's Day so far, so making sure all the freshers can access these is a must.
Okay, thank you very much to Alice Watson there, and we're just going to invite Alice onto the stream now to answer any questions that come in. Again, those can be asked via the Facebook comments or the Google form. Alice, can you hear us? Can we hear you? Awesome, we're good to go. Okay. I don't think we've had any questions just yet. Correct me if I'm wrong, Johnny.
No, none yet.
Okay, so this is the waiting game now. We'll just give it a little bit of time to see if anyone comes in.
Did anyone get your trivia question right?
You know what, Hannah Lydon got it, but it took a little while. It took longer than the previous rounds. I just do want to remind everyone that, that the final question is a real doozy, so you should stick around. We've got a question coming in. Milo Stevens asked, what platform are you considering for the website, considering future maintainability?
Okay, so currently I'm in the process of looking at several different platforms. I mentioned on my blog sheet that I want to create a website committee, so then I can kind of talk to lots of different people, get lots of different ideas. I'm also currently talking to people from the Grey JCR, because although it's Grey, they actually have a really great website. So I'm currently waiting on them to send me back more information about how theirs currently runs, and to see if that would be something that would be applicable for us.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Send them in now, otherwise we are going to move on if we don't get anything. Not got any from the Google form just now. Just give it one more moment. Okay, I think we are probably good to move on then. Yeah, awesome. Okay, thank you very much, Alice, for joining us. And yeah, there we go. Okay, so a couple of announcements, a couple of things just before we move on to the final trivia and end of the meeting. The voting for the election will go live at 6 p.m. tonight and will be up until 7 p.m. on Friday. And I'll post the link to that in the Freshers group as soon as it goes live. I just want to say thank you to all the candidates today for joining us, for sending in their husts. You know, these meetings have been on a shorter schedule, shorter time scale than previous ones, so their efforts are really appreciated. And thank you to everyone who's tuned in as well. Johnny, I don't know if you've got any more remarks just while I prep for the final trivia round.
No, nothing.
Okay, and I should say as well, of course, as this is Johnny's last JCR meeting, kind of partially in the driving seat. Thank you very much for all your efforts across the year. I'm aware it's hard to take me seriously when I'm dressed like this, but of course, as he noted when we were chatting before the call, he will be attending every JCR meeting in the future with his honorary life membership. So it's really nice to know. Right, one final question, quite a tough one. 17 people. It was 18, someone left, and they've missed a great opportunity to win a free ticket to a formal of their choice for next year. There's 16 people, so I'm going to ask it quickly. Now, this is, of course, a replica of Tom Baker's scarf from his time on Doctor Who. Now, in one of Tom Baker's earliest roles on film, he played a historical figure, and that historical figure's name later became the title of a Euro disco hit single. Which historical figure was that? So which historical figure played by Tom Baker in one of his earliest roles on film? Their name became the title of a Euro disco hit single. And I'll give a little clue if no one gets that, but I'll just give them a moment. Again, Wikipedia is their friend.
One of Tom Baker's earliest roles on film.
Oh, hang on, I'm just going to mute. I think that's Alice that's playing back. There you go, yeah. And Sara Crozier has won it. And again, I didn't say that you couldn't win it if you were running in the meeting. So she wins it. It is, of course, Rasputin, the song by Boney M. So I think that's it. Anything else, Johnny?
No,
it's not Napoleon. Sorry.
Thank you everyone for tuning in.
Us. The video this will be on live later.
Yeah, please do vote, because obviously we still need to hit the minimum quorum, and yeah, it would be great for all the candidates if we do achieve a good turnout.
Please, yeah, awesome, great. Thanks everyone for joining us again, and we will end it there if I can figure out how. Thank you.